How do I show this? Oh well, that's fine. Let's see, make sure I have everything. Situated. So, can you see me? Sorry. Tilt this up a little bit. Okay. Okay. Good. Sorry, I'll try to keep. Okay. All right. Hi. Hi everyone. How are you doing? So today I have to make quite a few molds for my a couple of my pieces, and oops. So I thought I would share that with you. I'm going to be using resin. I like to use casting resin. You can see it comes in these huge gallon bottles. I buy them in these bottles because it's cheaper. So, and then I just refill it, which is what I'm going to do now because I'm running kind of low. So I just fill them back in the smaller bottles once I'm done with it. It's just easier for me to pour it in these smaller liter ones. So I'm just gonna fill this. Okay, there we go. I've had this one for like 4 months, so it lasts for a pretty long time, and I use molds a lot. So if you're an avid mold maker, getting the larger sizes is definitely more economically friendly. Put it in my... Whoops. Yeah, don't want to spill this, but I always manage to do it somehow. Getting there. Hard to see with the clear one where it is. So I'm just gonna pour this in without spilling it. Okay, good enough. Don't spill. All right, just gonna put that one away. And okay, so with resin, shoot, I forgot my popsicle sticks first. Let's grab. I always have a few of these. Don't use the transfer sticks because they will, the stain will seep into the resin. I found that out the hard way. So don't use the transfer sticks for mixing resin or anything. It's bad. Better to use just the plain popsicle sticks so it doesn't stain. So you can see that it comes in 2 parts. So here's the yellow and then this one. You mix it together and it activates it, and that's what hardens the resin. I have a few different cups that I use depending on the size of what I'm doing. So I have this one, which is, I use this one generally for pours when I'm coating something like a canvas. But since I'm doing quite a few molds at the same time, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and use and fill this one a bit. Normally I use, no, I think it's better if I just do it in smaller quantities. The problem with the resin is that it sets fairly quickly, so if you are doing a lot of molds and then you do a large pour with this kind of resin, it ends up hardening, and so when you're pouring it, it just when it hardens, it's within seconds. So then you're just pouring this like white solidified resin, which is bad. So I'm just gonna do it how I usually do it, which is in these measuring cups. These are just like the medicine measuring cups you can get. I got these online, and it's helps me with a more accurate measurement of the resin. And I have these little cups. I have just like random little cups that I use that are disposable to work with the resin, since it's messy. So it's hard to clean resin off. So just make sure you have things that are disposable that you can use. Okay, so I am going to be making mushrooms, moons and stars, and wings, and some of these new steampunk molds that I got from Finnabair. So I'm going to make a few of these. It's for a few projects, so it's not going to be everything on the same one. But oh yes, I totally forgot. Yeah. Okay, so the new molds with Finnabair are actually larger than what they usually are. Usually these molds are fairly smaller. They're smaller. They're used for scrapbooking. So if you go look at the Finnabair molds and the Frank Garcia molds, you'll see that they're smaller. They're not as large as the Redesign with Prima ones, but they're really cool still. So I've used those before, the little cogs and stuff like that. And this time they made them larger, so they're actually suited better for like larger decor and stuff like that. So it's the same size as the Redesign with Prima ones that you normally get. So bigger molds, which I was excited about. And I actually do have two of these. Huh, weird. They are slightly different though. Okay, so this is the one I had originally. It's still fairly large, but then you can see this is the newer version. And you can see the moon and the stars are larger. So I'm making these. My custom vanity, she wanted specifically mushrooms and moons. So I was pretty much given that direction, trying to think of a good design to do with mushrooms and moons. So I think I'm just gonna do like a fairyland sort of thing on the vanity. Hopefully it turns out good. So that's what I'm trying to go for, hence the wings. So I'm making wings for the fairies, and I'm gonna make a sort of like a Twilight fairyland scene. But I mean, and then for one of the armoires, I'm going pretty gothic steampunk. So that's why I'm going to be using these skull ones. I thought I had another one, but yeah, these skull ones. Could have sworn I had another one too. I'll probably end up finding it somewhere random. Oh, I found it. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So I'm going to be making these ones too for my other piece. When I do resin, I just, might as well just do multiples of them while I'm at it, since it's a bit messy. And then this one is more the size of the scrapbook ones. So this is what the scrapbook sizes are kind of like, but the molds are like half this size. So this time they're bigger. Okay, so I'm going to shut up now and start making some molds. Let's see, I'm going to pour them, and I think one will fit both of these. So I'm going to fill these up. Usually 2 of these equals 1 mold. So if you're trying to create just 1 mold, usually this is the proper measurement for that will give you 1 single mold. This one I'm just going to fill nearly to the top. Okay. Just going to pour it in here directly because it might spill if I don't. So I'm just going to do this. Okay. That aside, and then I'm going to do the other part, which is the yellow part. This one's a lot thinner, so it pours out quicker, so be careful when you do it. Okay. All right, so fairly simple. Just mix it up in the cup. You mix it for maybe 30 seconds at the most. This one doesn't take very much. It's not like the other epoxy resin, so it's not it's easier to mix together. And the longer you stir, the quicker it sets. So when you start feeling it warm up, that's when you know it's going to set really quickly. So just a heads up on that one. When it starts getting warm, you got to work fast. I'm kind of over stirring it a bit because I want it to set harder, or set quicker. Sorry. Set more quickly so I'm not boring you. Okay, it's warming up. All right, let's do the moons. So she said she wanted, I'm just gonna make all of them and then we'll see. I saved the extras too, so if you make more than you need, you can always save them. It's not like they're gonna go to waste. And it's kind of handy when you just need a few random ones and you don't have to make it because you already made a few. I'm just gonna make all of these. And I do appreciate they're bigger so it's easier to pour inside. Some of those really intricate ones are really hard to get it so it doesn't overfill and make a mess. So I'm just going to do all of these little stars too. Pour it in there. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do the smaller moon face. It's too little for what I want, so I'm going to skip that one and do the bigger moon face. I mean, I guess it could be a sun. I mean, I don't see, yeah, it could be a sun too. Shoot, actually I'll have to pour it in here because it's, okay. So it's hardening, so now it's getting thicker. And I'm gonna set that one. Okay, I'm gonna set this one aside. I don't want to bump into it when I'm doing this. And you can, I don't know if you can see, but it's already getting sort of a whitish because I overstirred it. It sets really quickly. So when it warms, you can see it right there. It's already starting to, oh shoot, you can't see it right there. So it's already starting to whiten because I mixed it, over-mixed it. So you can see it's already whitening right now. So I'll try to hold it up. But you can see it's already whitening right now, and that means it's hardening. So it does it quicker when you overstir. Otherwise, it's usually within 10 minutes of mixing it. So let's do another one. Okay. I'm trying to keep the separate so that it doesn't solidify resin inside of these. So trying to keep it separate if I can remember. And okay, let's do this one. Again, I'm going to overstir with this one because I want it to work quick, so we can do a little bit of painting. So, usually stir about, I don't know, 40 seconds. Is it 40 seconds? I just stop when I feel it slightly getting warm because then I know that it's going to work its magic really quick for that. it's starting to get slightly warm, so. All right, let's make some of these fairy wings. Let's do a couple of the smaller ones. And this one actually has some cool gears and stuff, so I'm going to use this whole mold, I think. Just because it already has some of the designs that I'm going for anyways, so I may as well. The wings kind of remind me of like Egyptian hieroglyphics and stuff. Actually really cool to do an Egyptian piece. It's tiny little coggy ones. There. I'm trying to make sure too that I filled it all the way. Sometimes I miss spots because when it's clear, it's hard to tell if you get it around. So just kind of look at it from an angle and make sure you filled up the whole space. Just because it's hard to see if you did sometimes with, especially with some of the more intricate molds, I end up using the popsicle stick to try to get it to get everywhere that it is supposed to be, so keep that in mind. I have a bunch of random molds already on my table. This is like my mold making station, so you can see these are the molds, and they are slightly bendy if they're like the thinner ones, but yeah, I didn't clean these off, but this is kind of what a hardened mold is. And once you make it, you can soften it again if you need to with heat, any type of heat application. So if you wanted to toss these in boiling water, microwave, heat gun, hair dryer, any sort of heat will soften the resin. So you can soften it anytime you need to. So that's another cool thing too about resin. And I just like resin because it's easier for me. I'm not very talented with clay, and with the softer stuff, I really suck at it, so that's why I use resin. Plus I get annoyed when it starts curling on me, so that's okay. So these, I'm not sure if I want to use this one. These are a bunch of faces, which is cool for cameos. If you're doing like cameos and stuff, those would be cool. But I'm not doing cameos, so we'll skip that one. Okay, I can do this one too. And then the skulls. So, okay. Whoops. What was that one? Try to see if you have any questions. Just let me know about anything. What resin am I using? I'm using the fast cast resin. I'll put the link up for the gallon ones that I use if you want to get those ones that are bigger. They last you a really long time, so it's definitely worth it, worth the cost, because one of these costs what, $36? So for this, and then this usually lasts me 15 molds, maybe. So I go through these really quickly, so that's why I just get the bigger size so I can get that. You want to make sure you get them equal parts, especially if you do not, then it just gets sticky and it won't ever harden completely. So that's why it's important to make sure that you stir it well and measure the parts. I've even seen some people weigh them. I think maybe that's like more of a European thing, but I've seen people weigh them too, you know, on the little gram thingy. Just filling it. Ah, okay. My table has a slight tilt, so it's running over. Okay, let's see. Try not to get this thing. Okay. Do some of these bones. Skull and crossbones. And actually, I wonder why I've never done a pirate piece. That would be cool too. Haven't really thought of that. Should do a pirate piece with these molds. Okay, skull mold. Let's try to roll you over. I'll do these big cogs so you can see those. Oh, and then let me show you the, so it's hardened already. It's turned white completely. And now I can pop it out. So you can see I popped it out. It's still slightly soft, so it's a little bit hard to pop out. I'll give that one a little bit more time. Some of them aren't quite ready yet, but you can see it's all ready. The stars aren't very flexible because it's really solid in the center, but I think the moon or sun or whatever this thing is kind of bendable a little bit. I actually would have to heat this up to get it really bendy. I think that's just because it's set so quickly, but you can see it doesn't take long at all. It's really easy to do. And then when I overlap with these edges and stuff, I just take my razor blade and trim it off. Trim off the edge. This is the overflow that I always get because I'm messy. So I like to trim it off while it's still soft. Otherwise, when it hardens completely to plastic, it's pretty difficult to trim it then because it's hardens to plastic and then you can't, or you can, but it also may break off some of it too, depending on where you're trimming. So that's why I like to do it straight away if I remember to do it. Otherwise I have to use those, call it like nail clipper thingies to get it off. So just trim some of the area and just make it nice and neat again. So because I overflowed it there. See if these crescent moons are, okay, one is done. So there's the crescent moon, little moon. It's really cute. So do the little sun and moon. And the little stars. Each one's slightly different. This one has like a little, another star within the star. So it's pretty cool. Okay. Now, I'm going to do the cogs now and see how that goes. Where did I put the other thing? Oh, there it is. Okay. Do the cogs now. For my next live, I'll show you how to attach them onto my piece. I'm not ready yet. I'm still painting it, so I'm not ready to attach the molds yet, but I'll show you how to attach them. It's not complicated. It's pretty easy. You just use, I prefer to use E6000 to attach them onto the surface. You can use Tite Bond, Gorilla Glue, those type of things too. I just prefer E6000. So that's the kind I use for gluing. And then you want to make sure you tape it down because the edges can slightly curl. I don't know if it's like some sort of reaction with the glue, but the edges can slightly curl, so I always tape them down to make sure it just goes on nice and flat, so I don't see a gap when I'm looking at it. Or you could weigh it down too, but I just usually tape it down. Okay, it's getting warm. All right, so do these bigger cogs. These are going to be a lot easier. The other one, that's smaller, have these tiny little bolt holes things, and it was pretty comical trying to get it in without spilling. So I'm just going to do the gears, and the cog stuff, do the larger ones. This one, so actually, because these are so big, one is actually not even filling all of them. It does for the Redesign ones, so this must be. Okay, do little bolt things. There we go. So I have the bolt ones. The skull's already whitened too. It's really quick. Which is why I like it too. I can get impatient, so if it sets fast, then that works for me. All right, let's do these weird bird skeletons. These are cool. No smell with the resin. No, not with this resin. This resin is different. The other resin, the epoxy resin that takes a day or over to harden, is a lot different. For that one, it's toxic, so make sure you're wearing a mask when you do it with a filter. I have my, what is it, N95 thing, but this one, there's no smell whatsoever. The other one, you can smell it when you start to mix it up. It has fumes and stuff. I was pretty bad for some time. I didn't use a mask when I was using it, making it and stuff, but it's definitely wise to be careful. So always use a mask when you're doing your resin pours and stuff like that. And then I think I can paint the moons and stars once they harden a little bit more. I'm going to use metallic paints, the Sparks metallic paints. I could use wax, but if you're going to use wax on the resin, it's better if you paint it first. If you paint over it or prime it first for the wax to have something to grip on. It's harder for the wax to grip on this super smooth surface unless you're stenciling. If you're stenciling, that's different on glass or something, but with this, because it's not just sitting on top of the plastic and you're wiping it on, it is more difficult for it to grip, and you just have to put multiple layers. So it's just easier if you just paint it first and then wax, if you're going to use wax. And these wings are big. Okay. Make sure, yeah, it's not in the beak completely. So always have to check. It just, sometimes it doesn't seep everywhere, so it looks deceiving. You don't get it in all the cracks that you thought you did, so it's looks weird. Okay, so yeah, I'm not filling a whole one with these like I normally do with the Redesign ones, which is okay, it's fine. I'm not upset about it or anything, but all right, so let's do some painting with these ones I already did. I'm gonna take off my gloves because I'm just getting resin all over the molds. I'm going to paint these. This is the fast cast resin, so that's one. For each batch, it depends. You can reuse. I've reused them multiple times. They just get a buildup of the resin as time goes on when you do more and more pours and stuff. So if it doesn't bother you, then you can definitely reuse the cups as much as you want to, and that's perfectly fine. Okay. Do ones right here. I have to trim this one really quick. It's got a little bit of overflow, and it gets harder to cut it off, harder it gets. Okay. All right. Perfect. Let me grab the Sparks paint. Some of this stuff. Alright, sorry, I had to battle my cabinet thing. Okay, so, Sparks. So, these are all my Sparks paints. These are the Finnabair. Some of these are the Finnabair. Actually, I think they're all Finnabair. These are smaller metallic paints that come in these smaller containers, and it's part of the scrapbooking line, which is why it's, oh, that's pretty, which is why it's smaller, but a little of these goes a long way. I have practically all the colors, so you can see there's different metallic colors with these, so can never get enough metallics. So that's there's like a bunch of these that you can get from a scrapbook or another Prima retailer. I'm trying to find my silver. Oh, that's pretty too. Here's my silver. Jesus. No. course, I'm seeing every other color except for silver. Go figure. Okay. Did I not order silver? Oh, there it is. I was like, how could I have not gotten silver out of all the other colors? Okay. So I'm going to paint these silver to go with my piece. Yuck. Let's see. Here's a brush. A bunch of brushes, but one's too small. I think I'll have to use this one, which is fine. It's a little bit wider, but it's okay. Maybe this one will work too. All right, so I'm just gonna paint these. Oops. Okay. So this is the Silver Sparks color right here. Yes, I will put up the link. Sorry. Facebook keeps erasing my descriptions when I write them, so it's annoying. But this is the silver. It's kind of a darker silver. It's called Silver Spoon. So that's the Art Alchemy metallic acrylic line. She has a couple of different ones. There's the Sparks one, there's this one, and then she just came out with these cool pastes, the jewel paste. I'm actually going to put this over the silver to give it some sparkle, so a little bit of glitter, because this is it's called crushed ice, but it's transparent and it just has this glitter effect. So I'm going to do that on top of the silver to give it a sparkly shine to it. All right, not hard to paint these molds. I don't always paint before I apply them. It really depends on what I'm doing with the piece. Sometimes I paint them first, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what I'm doing. You can glue it onto a painted surface. I've never had it fall off or do something weird like that. As long as your paint application is correct, then you shouldn't have to worry about anything about the mold falling off. And if you use the right glue, you shouldn't have any problems with the mold popping off too. So it's just, all right, just got that, missed that little guy. So okay, I'm just gonna use this big one. So you paint it over the moon. Sorry, just move it down so you can see. So it coats really well. It's acrylic, so it's acrylic paint, but it goes on pretty easily. And the coverage is really good, especially with the resin casting white. I prefer the white because it makes it easier, like less, I need less layers to paint over it, because when it's clear, you can see what's underneath, and so when it's white, it usually gives you easier coverage when you're painting. So that's another bonus of the white casting resin, is that you don't have to paint it as much as you would with the clear casting resin. So just painting these guys. I think one mold will be okay. So you can see, sorry, I know this is far away, but you can see it's pretty easy to paint on there. And I'm not even using a lot of it at all because the coverage is really good. So not even using a lot of the paint either. Just little dabs here and there is working well on these ones. So let's do. Sometimes it doesn't let me see your comments, so that's why I try to keep up, but sometimes, hopefully, someone's helping you answer them. Otherwise, I'll go back to your comments and answer. It's just one of those Facebook thingies that make no sense, but okay. With the little stars. And you can see why I paint it off of the piece if I'm doing it a different color, because if I glue these on and then I'm painting on a painted background, you know, and I'm painting it, I'm gonna get it all around, so that I have to like tidy it up by painting around the edges, and that's just an extra step I don't really want to take. So it's just easier to paint it separately and then glue it on for what I'm doing right now. So if I'm trying to blend it in the piece, then I just glue it on and do the blending in and the texturing or whatever it is that I'm doing. But usually this works well. So, okay, let me see. It should dry. Yeah, it dries fairly quickly. Acrylic-based paints dry faster than chalk-based paints. So if you're using acrylics, then yeah, I guess. But they dry, yeah, they dry more quickly than regular paints do. So there's a little moon, and then I'm going to add the crushed ice. Maybe the crushed ice? Sorry, let's see. This one's blue. Oh, wait, what is that? Okay, this one is icing paste. Okay, no, I'm gonna use the crushed ice. I thought I had like a silver glitter, but I don't, so that's okay. I forget what I have most of the time. I hate these little foil things. Like, does anyone even, like, am I the only person who has trouble getting these off? I hate them. So annoying. At least do like a little flap or something over, you know, so you can tear it off. Like, I just don't, I know why they're on there, but such a pain to get off. Or maybe I'm like missing a trick or something, but I'm not. I hate the getting off the foil stuff. Okay, so I'm going to put the icing paste on here, the crushed ice paste on top to make it glittery. Hopefully it turns out glittery. It's thicker than the acrylic paints. So you could actually stencil with this if you wanted to. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm pretty sure you can. So if you wanted to, stupid hair. Okay, just give it some extra glitter and then put on this face too. Hopefully. It's going on a little thick, so I'm like kind of trying to make sure it's not collecting under the nose like a booger or something. yeah, it's sparkly, and it's actually, yeah, you can feel the texture of the glitter. It's pretty sparkly. Oops, I'm just gonna coat these other ones with another bit of silver. Yeah, you don't want your molds to have boogers. That would not look good. I'm used to talking about this stuff because my daughter's 4, so, you know, we talk a lot about poop and boogers and farts and things like that. And so I think 2 coats is enough if you want to get it silver enough. Why the hell? Okay. And 2, yeah, 2 layers should be more than enough to coat this. Sometimes I spray these too with the Rust-Oleum metallic paints because I'm lazy and it's really easy to do, and you can like spray like 20 of them at once. And it's also super, their paints are like leafing, so it has the reflective leafing sort of shine to it if that's what you're looking for. So I do spray the molds as well, and it goes on really well. It doesn't, I haven't had issues with it like rubbing off or anything, so it works. All right, let me see if I can show this guy. Yeah, it's a bit, I think the glitter part is a bit clumpy, so you can feel the texture of it, which is good for some applications to give you that texture, but just keep that in mind if you're using the jewel paste, that this one, the glitter one, has a bit of a texture to it. So it's not like just using the glitter sprays and stuff. But I just wanted to give it a little bit of shine to the piece. Okay, let's see if I can. Oh shit. It did have a booger. Jesus. Okay, yeah, it did clump up underneath there. Alright, see? Okay. I'll show you the moon because that one is looking better than my other one is looking. Okay, so hopefully you can see the shine. I don't know if you can see the sparkle or not. Can you see the sparkle? The best glue is, I like E6000, but you can use, there's a lot of different glues you can use. Some people do Tight Bond, some people use the super strong Gorilla Glue. You can use any of those. It's kind of what you prefer. I just prefer E6000 because I think it's the strongest one that I've used so far, so just my opinion, but it's there's a lot of options. Just use one that's really strong so it doesn't pop off. When I used the Gorilla one, I did have it come off, so it was so yeah, so I stopped using it because I did have an instance where I made this table and had a bunch of molds around it, and somehow it got bumped into and the mold came off, but I think it's also because I didn't use resin, I used air clay, so that could be another factor of why it popped off. But so now I use E6000, just what I prefer to use. It does smell, but they made a version that doesn't stink. So if the fumes bother you, they have a version that doesn't smell like anything. So all right, so with this one, I'm going to pop out these giant gears. All right, so see how neat and precise that is? You can see the little edging and stuff, and it's very clean. So that's why I like resin. Pop out these other ones. And it's easy to take out. You don't have to coat it with anything. It will pop out. I've never had it like stick in there unless it was because I screwed up and then it didn't harden. Otherwise, you don't need to coat these molds with anything to make sure they come out. With modeling material, you might have some issues. Actually, no, not modeling material. With a wetter sort of medium, it will stick just because it's more wet, so it's like stickier, and then you can just put like cornstarch or flour or something, dust it off, and it should pop out well and not give you any issues, but it might kind of stick if you're using like clay. And these little bolts and stuff. Yes, I like these larger molds so much more. It's just so easier, much easier to use. All right, so yeah, let's show you a few of these. Okay. So here's the gears. And let me pop out the bird skull. All right, really simple. Okay. Heats my hands. Okay. Okay, so here's the bird skulls. They look pretty cool. And here's the bat wings. So can you see the details? Yeah, trying to angle it so you can see it. But here's the bat wing looking thing. Let's see about the fairy wings. Actually did a pretty good job this time of not getting it overflowing. All right, so here's some of the wings. You see the wings here? Wings. There's smaller ones too. So, whoops. Here's some of the littler wings. Okay. This one had some of the smaller cogs and stuff. These are the size of the other one that I have with the Finnabair ones, the older ones. They were like that size. All right, and now the skull. You can kind of tear it off when it's soft enough and thin enough. Let's get the little, oh, that I will have to trim. A little bit of overflow with this one, so okay. Let's see. It kind of reminds me of science class. You know, you have the skeleton in the corner. I don't know, just thought of that. Reminds me of middle school science class. Oh, this guy's missing a nose. Okay, so I'll show you what happens when you don't get it to every single little crack, because sometimes it's hard to see it until it starts to whiten. By that time, you can't really, well, I could still put it back and pour it, but this is what happens when you don't get it into the crack. You have a noseless skeleton. So and here's the other skulls. It's pretty cool. Can you see that? The other skull. This would be really cool for Halloween too. You can make really cool Halloween decorations with this. Okay, and here are the bones. So here's the bones. There. And yeah, I think that's all the ones I made, right? Yep, that's all the ones I made today. So I'll show you some of the, so here's the ones that I painted with the Sparks metallic silver spoon. And it's like this. It's not the opaque kind. They have sometimes the opaque semi-transparent sort of ones, but this one isn't. And it's just the regular metallic line. So there's a bunch of different colors. They have gold, they have all the other basic colors, of course, but they also have these really pretty colors, like this purple. It's really pretty. They have just a ton of really gorgeous colors. So if you can't find a metallic color you want, chances are you'll find it with the metallic line. So, okay, so that's pretty much it for the Saturday. I just wanted to show you how I make my molds, and to recap, I used the fast cast resin. It also comes in these big gallon ones, which is what I use because I use a lot of molds, so this is more cost effective. It's like 80 bucks, I think. And then this is the smaller ones of the fast cast resin. So this is the smaller, this is the liter, I believe, size, and you can get this on Amazon or Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. So they sell the smaller casting resins. So you can get them from there. I think that one's like 36 or something. I think the smaller ones are 24, somewhere around there. So you can get those there in those places. These molds are the Finnabair line, so it's not the Redesign with Prima ones. It's part of the Finnabair mold line, so that's with Prima marketing. Hopefully we'll put this on the website. So yeah, so these white ones are or grayish white ones are all the new Prima marketing Finnabair molds. I think that's it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for what I'm doing today. If you have any questions, I will get back to you, and I will post the link. Sorry, it's doing this weird thing where it's erasing my description when anyways. So I'll go back and post the links for the resin, for the molds, for this paint, and yeah. So I'll go ahead and go back and post all of the links so you can find all of these. And that's pretty much it for this Saturday. So thanks for watching as always. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next Saturday.